What's going on, everybody? Alex with you here again as usual. Thanks for dropping by for yet another chess video. I have a unique chess set to share with you guys. A chess set that I purchased a couple of weeks ago from Chess House. It's a wooden chessboard with plastic chess pieces, and the very first thing that you guys will see and notice is that I'm holding this board relatively vertical here. None of the chess pieces are falling out. The secret to which I will share with you guys here in just a second about how this chessboard is constructed. But unlike most of the other chess sets that I review on this video, this chess set is unique in that it has a specific purpose in why it's constructed in this way. If you guys have ever seen any other chess sets out there with holes in the chessboard, holes all over, hopefully my camera will pick up on this, all over the board there are these holes. Most likely you've seen travel chess sets, probably smaller in size, that had holes like this. And the reason why they had holes is that when you're traveling somewhere, a lot of times you're not able to have a stable ground, whether you're in a boat, in a train, in a bus. And a lot of times the place where you put your chessboard moves around a lot. So if you had a really slick, smooth chessboard, your pieces might move while you're playing the game, and that would get really frustrating. For that reason, a lot of travel chess sets there either have holes, which I've never reviewed a travel chess set with holes in it, or they have underlying magnets inside underneath the squares that allow you to position the pieces in such a way that they don't move around while you're in motion. And that's actually really functional and also very brilliant idea as far as, introducing that. But in this particular case, we don't have magnets, we have holes. And if we take an individual chess piece out, we can see that the underside of these chess pieces have these sort of little long pegs that are secured to the underside of the chess piece. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to see that. And these little pegs go inside of these squares in this way, okay? Once the peg goes in, nothing can really displace the chess piece. Any particular wind or turbulence, everything will sort of keep that piece where it is. That's really nifty. And in fact, I'd probably say if you were looking for this like heavy-duty travel chess set, this might be a chess set for you because of how nicely and large the pegs are and how big the piece is. It would work well for a lot of people, but that's not why this chess set has been made the way that it has. As far as size dimensions of this particular chess set, as you can see right over here, it's about the same size as a Chestnut Air. The squares are about the same size, more or less. Now the pieces of the Chestnut Air are going to be a little bit smaller. On the underside, if we look at the back of the board one more time, we have these little felt bottom corners here that allow the board to achieve some degree of stability. If you're placing it on a smooth flat surface, you're going to get that little bit of a dampening, so you're not getting that surface scratched up or anything. And overall, construction-wise, this board's made really well. Another thing that I want to point out is the squares. The dark squares are actually painted. One of the interesting things is that all of the dark squares on this board are elevated by about 2, maybe 2.5, 3 millimeters. And all the light squares are depressed down. So then you have this sort of a stepwise fashion. Most of the chessboards we've seen, we are striving to have some kind of a smoothness or a smooth surface, and we're always sort of aggravated when there's these little clips and stuff because we can't move the pieces, we can't slide them. But because these pieces have these little pegs, you're not going to be sliding them anyways, so it doesn't really matter. It gives this board this sort of a three-dimensionality to the actual board. That's kind of neat too. Lastly, all the pieces are made the same. They're made out of plastic. And I'll show you guys here, I'll bring the camera up close so we can take a look at the individual pieces here in just a second. But the differentiating factor between the light pieces and the dark pieces is that each one of the dark pieces has a little tiny protrusion here. You can call it a nipple or whatever you may call it, like a little tiny bump, I guess. And it's present on all the black pieces here, including the rooks, bishops, even the king. Even though the king already has a finial on top of the finial, we have this little protrusion. On all the pawns, it's present. But the light pieces, everything's smooth. Even the queen that usually has a little tiny little protrusion on top, it's absent. It's like they cut it off. The bishops too, they're kind of unusual looking because we expect some kind of a little tiny top on a bishop, and in this case it looks like almost they took a little file and they just filed that off. Pawns, everything else looks normal. So I'm gonna have you guys pause the video if you want to, and leave me a comment below right now what you think this chess set is all about. Who do you think this chess set is intended for? If it's intended for travel purposes, what do you think this is all about? I came with this chess set to my wife, and I sat down and I showed all these characteristics of this particular chess set, and I said, what do you think this chess set's all about? Who do you think it's made for? She tried to guess. She wasn't able to. I came to my parents, they weren't able to. So maybe you guys have already seen this particular chess set before, and in which case, go ahead and comment below what you think. If you're trying to guess on your own, don't read other people's comments. Kind of try to guess on your own. At one point, I thought maybe you could use this for skydiving, you know, because it's such a heavy-duty travel chess set. Literally, you can jump off a plane and maybe two people can play a quick game of bullet chess. But then again, if you're skydiving, I would assume you're not going to want to really play a game of chess unless it's kind of one of those, you know, social media type of stunts or whatever. And even then, you know, as the board is flying down, I think that some of the pieces would end up flying out. So in that particular case, I would probably say a really good magnetic chess set would probably work. No, I wouldn't even try to play chess while skydiving. Maybe you're on a boat. You're on a boat in the middle of the ocean and it's really stormy and you decide you wanted to play a game of chess. It's an unusual situation because on a boat in a storm, you might not be really wanting to play a game of chess, but who knows? Now that you guys have commented or left a comment or not, this chess set is actually advertised as a chess set for visually impaired and blind people. That's the name. I'll leave you guys a link below. It retails for approximately $60, maybe $60, $70. So really not a luxury chess set price by any means. It's a price that kind of makes this chess set attainable to most people. But it's a really unique chess set, and I feel like the person who initially had the idea to create a chess set like this should deserve a medal, because we're now looking at a chess set that's not just designed to be fancy. It's not just designed to be, you know, have extra details for our visual sort of pleasure. It's a functional chess set that opens the world of chess to people that would otherwise not be able to play a game of chess. It has the pegs, it has the squares. It's a chess set that's designed for people that can only use their sensation of touch, their tactile sensation, to play an entire game of chess. And that's really, really unique in my opinion. Unfortunately, I don't really have any friends that are visually impaired and play chess at the same time. And if I did, I would definitely give this a go. And at some point when I was trying to decide how I would present this particular video, I thought, well, if I could give you guys a better idea as far as how would it feel like if you're visually impaired and try to play a game through this, I thought about maybe like blindfolding myself, but then I thought that wouldn't be really a good idea, because that wouldn't do justice to the people who are really visually impaired, because it's people who are visually impaired, people who are blind, it's not like just tying a blindfold around your eyes. It's so much more. And therefore I could not bring myself to doing that. I couldn't bring myself to giving you guys an idea. All I can say is from a standpoint of construction, everything is made in such a way that practically, theoretically on paper, it should work. All the dark pieces have the little pegs that differentiate them from the light pieces. So the top portions are all different, the pawns and everything. So if you're just trying to find your own piece on the board using nothing but your fingers here, you're able to say, okay, this particular piece feels like a pawn and it has the peg, so that must be my piece. Another thing is that the pegs on the underside and the holes in the board come in very nice and snug and stable, and so therefore when you're moving your hands around the board, you're able to move your hand and touch all the pieces without displacing them, or without even worrying about displacing them, because everything's nice and stable. And that's really nice construction. It's really nice thinking. We know that there's a lot of grandmasters out there that are able to play throughout all their games just in their mind. And we've seen people, like a lot of people online would play blindfolded chess. And they're able to do so because they can see the whole board in their mind, start to finish. And they're not only able to see the board, they're able to work with the board, and they're able to move the pieces and not have things get all confused and disheveled. If somebody told me that we're going to do the same thing to you, it would just be a complete hot mess, because I'm not able to do that. And unfortunately, not many people out there are able to do that, even though social media presents it as there's a lot of people that can do that. No, it's actually a very, very unique thing, and it's not really easy. And for somebody who might be visually impaired, blind, completely unable to see the world around them, and maybe they're just initially, or maybe they have, you know, some chess skills, some chess experience, or maybe they're getting into chess for the first time, they're not going to be able to see the board in their mind. And so I would feel like beyond the opening, when you know you're at move 10 or move 15, when you're getting into the middle game, things can get complicated. Pieces would have already by that time been exchanged. The position might be, you know, tricky. And so I would feel like the person that is playing this game that's visually impaired would probably have to spend a lot of time feeling the pieces throughout. Possibly with every move, they would have to go through each individual row and really try to sort of familiarize with themselves with where all the pieces are, because you know, and this board allows us to do that. But I would say that playing chess for a visually impaired individual might be kind of tricky. I'm not trying to say that that's the case. I'm just saying that that's my opinion. And maybe there are some visually impaired people that are really good at chess. And you might know some people that are unable to see but play great games with chess. And maybe they have developed over time the ability to just play in their mind. That's great. All I have to say that with this particular product, I would say that it's made to work. But I think that it would be a lot of work for somebody to be able to play chess if they are unable to see, you know. But if they wanted to, there's a board like this out there. And like I said, the person who has created, the person behind making this board, should be awarded a medal, because in my opinion, I think that's wonderful that we are able to give the game of chess to people that would otherwise not ever be able to experience it. So anyways, with this particular product, when I was checking out at Chess House, I had the option of getting a free booklet, The Rules of Chess. And it was, it said it retailed for $4.99, but I got it for free. It was just kind of like, I don't know, just in a little edition. It's like a little pamphlet. I think it's about 18 pages or so. And on the very last page, you actually get this free notation little sheet. So it comes with, I'm guessing, four columns of notation from move 1 to 40. And if your game progresses beyond move 40, I guess you can just continue on the next one. That's kind of neat. Whether or not this is a $5 value, I suppose it is. It's 18 pages and it's printed well, and there's plenty of color. I think that it's worthwhile. They offered me the option to purchase it, and I clicked to purchase it. So I feel like they're introducing this little booklet so that more people can purchase chess boards, chess products, and be able to familiarize themselves with chess a little bit better. So I think that's a really good approach as far as what Chess House is trying to do, trying to get more people to play chess. Before I conclude, I'm going to kind of zoom a little bit closer so you guys can see the individual details of the board and kind of get a better idea about what this product is all about. Yeah, so starting off, like I said before, we've got these little tiny, like here's the pawn, for example, And then the very top part right over here, we have this protrusion. And if we look at the pawns on the other side here, those pawns don't have it. So these pawns, the light side pawns, look normal, as well as all the other light pieces right over here. Except, you know, the funny thing is the bishop here. We usually see the bishop have a little tiny thing on top. And in this case, the bishop almost looks more like a pawn than a bishop. The king here does have a finial like we normally, so the king looks very normal. The queen also doesn't have her little top, the usual part here. But for the most part, the pieces look really quite nice. They're pretty large and easy to handle. And once we take it out, like right over here, we see that the bottom part here has that little peg. The pegs seem to be made about the same way, but some of the holes in the board, because this board is sort of still new, sometimes I find that a couple of them have a little bit of resistance. Maybe after playing a few games and after kind of getting all the pieces inserted and also all the squares, eventually you won't have as much resistance. But see the holes here, and then if you guys can kind of see that there's a little bit of an elevation here, as you could tell. I know it's a little tricky to tell, but see, it's about 2.5, 3 millimeters maybe. It's not substantial, but certainly, like when you run your hand against it, you can tell. And that's the whole purpose, the whole reason why they're made in such a way, is that you're supposed to be able to run your fingers against the board and say, okay, so the diagonal, okay, here we go. And then if it was completely flat, maybe like, for example, you're wanting to take your pawn out, right? And then you're, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the next square. Then maybe you miss, and then you go here instead because somehow you didn't, it was flat, and so there was no differentiation between the squares, and all of a sudden you positioned it somewhere else where you weren't intending to do it. Or especially if you're like, okay, you want to put the bishop, and you want to put the bishop halfway across on the other side of the board, you might actually accidentally put it in this square instead of this square, for example, if you were trying to follow that diagonal. But because the squares are raised, you know, you're not really going to have that issue. So really nice little chess set. It's not super heavy. The board itself is made out of wood, and if we look at the underside here, we can see the wood isn't particularly super high quality, but like I said, it's not meant to be, you know, bud rosewood or blood rosewood. They're really just going for like the functionality of it. Now why they decided to make the board wooden and not plastic, I'm not really sure. The pieces themselves, they did make plastic. They could have went with the wooden chess pieces, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference. I think that it works really well either way. I think this particular combination of the plastic chess pieces to the wooden board saves a little bit of money probably on manufacturing, but also it seems like it goes well. But the plastic pieces, the coloration and everything just kind of, it goes well in my opinion, and it serves its purpose. It's functional. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed watching this video as I've enjoyed making it. I love sharing chess sets, especially chess sets that are unique, have a meaning, have a practical part to them. I have enjoyed making this video. I thought you guys would be interested when I initially purchased it, because I thought, hey, there's going to be people out there that would really benefit from getting a chess set like this. You're watching this video and maybe you have somebody who you know who might be visually impaired and also have either enjoyed playing a game of chess at some point or would like to get into playing chess games. This might be a chess set for them. I don't think Chess House is the only website that sells this particular chess set. I think I've seen it in a couple of other websites. So look around, there might be different varieties of these things, but I'm assuming that more or less the core factors, the core elements of the chess set, such as the difference in the squares, the little extra little parts on the top of the pieces, the holes, it's probably going to be elements that are going to be shared between these different chess sets. Yeah. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this particular chess set. As I've said before, unfortunately, I don't really have any friends who are visually impaired who also enjoy chess. I don't really have many visually impaired friends to begin with. or friends for that matter. If you are visually impaired or you know somebody who is visually impaired or blind and you would think that they would benefit from having this chess set, personal message me on Facebook. Try to do it within like the first week or so. If it's been more than a week since this video has been up, I most likely don't have this chess set anymore. Text message me on Facebook and let me know, and I'll send this chess set over to you guys. Let me know though before sending me your contact information if I still have this available, and after a week probably I probably won't have this available. I'll send this to somebody out there, so hopefully somebody will really enjoy playing this. As always, I hope you guys stay safe, play more chess, read more books, and I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye bye.